Hi everyone, how are we getting on? I hope we're all doing well today. Now, what we're going to be looking at first and foremost this week is adding mixed numbers. Now, there's two ways of doing this. I'm going to try and keep this as straightforward as possible. I'm not going to go into the weeds on it. I'm just going to explain option one and option two, and we can see how we get on then after that. So the first way there, option one, which is looking, what we do here, first of all, is we change our 1.5 and our 1 1/4, we change them into improper fractions, okay? So what they're actually doing here is they're 1.5. So what they're saying instead is they're saying that 1 is the same as 2 halves. So they're saying 2 halves plus 1 half. And then they're saying that 1/4 there is 4 quarters. So they're saying 4 quarters plus 1/4. Okay, so that's where they're getting their 3 halves and their 5 quarters from, because they're adding those together. All right, so that's their first step, is to add 2 halves and their 1 half and their 4 quarters and their 1/4. And that gives them 3 halves and 5 quarters. Okay, now the next thing they need to do is they need to change their halves over here into quarters. Now, the reason for that is because you can't add if your denominators are different. Okay, so if your numbers on the bottom are different, you can never add. So we did this already. You need to change your numbers on the bottom so that they're the same. So to change halves into quarters, obviously you multiply by 2. Okay, and if you're multiplying by 2, you need to do the same on the top and the bottom. So we're going to multiply 2 by 2 and multiply 2 by 3. All right, so that's where we get our 6 quarters from down here. Okay, we don't need to change our 5 quarters. Our 5 quarters is fine. Sometimes you might need to change both. So you might need to change, let's just say it was 3 halves and 5 thirds. Well, then you're going to need to change it to, you're going to need to change both sides to sixths. Okay. Now, once we're down here and we've changed our 6, we can just add our 6 quarters and our 5 quarters. Okay. And that'll give us 11 quarters. So 6 and 5 is 11. And remember, we don't add our numbers in the bottom, they just stay the same. Okay, so we add those, we get 11 quarters, and we can divide 11 by 4, which will give us 2 remainder 3, which is our 2 3/4, like we did when we were changing improper fractions to mixed numbers. We did that already, so we should be okay on that. Go back and watch the previous videos if you're stuck on changing improper fractions to mixed numbers. All right, so that's option one. I don't mind option one. Option one is perfectly fine, but if I'm doing it myself, I use option two. Okay, so we'll look at that now. So option two, what we do instead is we add our whole numbers. So we add this one here to this one here. Okay, so we add those, and that gives us our 2 down here. Okay, and then that's leaving us with a half and a quarter to add together. Okay, and so we put down our half and our quarter in brackets. We change our half to quarters, the same as we did over in the previous question. So we multiply by 2, so we times 2 and times 2. So that's very small there, but you get the idea. So 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. So our 2 doesn't change. Our 2, our full unit 2 doesn't change. It's going to stay outside the brackets. And now we have 2 quarters plus 1/4 here. Okay, so we have 2 quarters plus 1/4, and we can just add those together to give us 3 quarters. So our final answer is 2 3/4. So you can see there that both answers give you 2 3/4. Okay, and that's the way we add those up. All right, now, like I said, my preferred option is option 2. Option 1 is perfectly fine, and most of the time you'll be okay using either option. Okay, so it won't make too much of a difference to you. All right, so I'm just going to go through a couple of examples now, so you'll be able to see how they actually work when you're doing them out fully. So I'll do the first couple of questions from the work you're going to have to do yourselves. Okay, so the first one here, guys, is a good example because we've actually only got our units on one side. So we only have units there for our 1/6. So in this case here, we can keep our unit out separate, and we're going to be adding 1/6 and 2/3. Okay, so that's all we have. Now, what we're going to need to do next is we're going to need to change our thirds so that they can become sixths. Okay, so the way we change a third to a sixth is we multiply it by 2. And if we're multiplying our 3 by 2, well, we need to multiply our 2 up there by 2 as well. All right. So what we get down there then is we get our 1, and our 1/6, remember, doesn't change because we want it to be a 6 on the bottom. And what we get instead is we get 4/6. Okay, and now we can add those perfectly fine. So that's going to give us 1, and 1/6 and 4/6 is 5/6. sixths. And that's our answer. Simple as that. I'll do one more on the next page. And for this one here, guys, we can see that we've got units this time around. So we've got a 1 and we've got a 4. So we're going to add those together first, okay? So we're going to say 1 plus 4 is 5. All right. And what we're going to do then is we're going to put our fractions in brackets. So we have 1/3 plus 5/9. Okay, and what you want to do here is you want to change your thirds so as that your thirds become 9. So to change your 3 to a 9, we need to multiply it by 3. And if you're doing that at the bottom, you have to do it at the top as well. All right, so what we're going to have now is we're going to have 5, and 3 times 3 is 3. Or 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. And we're going to add 3 9ths and 5 9ths. Okay, and then we've got 5 and 8 9ths. And in fact, I don't need that. I don't need that bracket line there. I can get rid of that. Okay, so your answer is 5 and 8 9ths. All right. So hopefully that explains a little bit about how to do it. Remember, there is the other option that you can use as well. Okay, the other option works perfectly fine as well. If you want to change them into improper fractions and add them up that way as well, that's fine as well. So do it either way, whichever way suits you best. That's the way I want you to do it. Obviously, if there's any questions of this, I'm sure one or two people might find this a bit tricky. So please let me know if there are any issues with it, or even if there's like a particular question that's causing you trouble, just send me an email and I can do a quick video on that again. All right. So don't suffer in silence. Let me know if there's something that you need, and I'll be very, very quick to get back to you as well. All right. So you'll have an explanation within the day, all going well. All right. So best luck with that for now, and I'll chat to you soon.